Hey, it's Matt Webley here. So in this video I'm going to talk to you about AI SaaS tech stacks for beginners, intermediates and advanced. Okay, so I recommend different tech stacks depending on where you're at. So if you don't know me, I've made over $12 million selling very simple, low price, subscription based software. So online software that solves a single problem for a single customer, and essentially they pay on a subscription basis. So this could be $20 a month, $30 a month, $40 a month. You can charge $99 a month or plus if you want, but essentially it's subscription based software. So yeah, let's talk about tech stack, because it's emerging that there's definitely, for me, there's definitely best practice tech stack. I don't know if I balance this on a, maybe I'll hold the tripod because it doesn't look very safe. So I'm going to just hold it like that because I don't want my phone to, in fact it's still looking a bit wobbly, isn't it? You know what, I'll just take it off. Let's hold it in my hands until I can fix it. So there's definitely a tech stack that is emerging as best tech stack depending on where you're at. So with my AI SaaS coaching clients, where I take normal people from not having a clue about software as a service to creating an entire business, launching it, building it, scaling it, everything, the idea, the lot. We use out of the box for a beginner, building your very first software as a service using AI. We find that Replit is the best, I don't want to say best because I've not used them all, but at least it's a really good all-in-one solution. I know that when I first started using Replit, it was the only tool that I was aware of. I think it might have been the only tool that could do everything from start to finish, front end, back end, server hosting, security, the entire thing, kind of like all in one package. And it still is, and I think it's great. Out of the box, Replit works amazing. So if you want to build your first software, so you like to either replace some subscriptions that you're already paying for, or maybe to launch it as a business, which is what I'm doing with my students, and that's, in my mind, the best way to do it, then Replit is a really good tool. Now, the thing with Replit is ease of use comes with a cost, and the cost is usually that we are finding that essentially most of the time Replit does what it wants. It does what you want it to in the first instance. So you tell it to do something, and we're finding about ish, and again, this is not scientific, your mileage might vary, but we're finding ish, it gets what you want first time about 60% of the time, right? So out of the box, you could give it a prompt, natural language, no code, and it'll get it right about 60% of the time. And then maybe 20% of the time, you're gonna have to do it a second time. So you'll prompt it once, most of the time it gets it right. If it doesn't, you'll just say, look, you don't see this exactly, but essentially you say, look, I didn't mean that. Do it like this, and it's broke, it doesn't work, fix it. And then it fixes it. So that covers 80% of the time. So 60% of the time it gets it right first time. 20% of the time maybe it gets it right on the second attempt. And then probably almost 30% it gets it right on the third attempt. So most of the time it's doing it first time. Sometimes it takes 2 times, and sometimes it takes 3 times. Very occasionally it feels like you're stuck in a never-ending loop. But that's the cost really of an all-in-one AI platform that does it all for you, which is groundbreaking, game-changing. It's never been done before. This year is the first time you could even do this as a non-tech, non-codey founder. It's the first year you could do it. Replit allows you to do that. I think Replit is an awesome tool. I'm a massive fan. I really, really genuinely think you should check it out if you haven't. You can build your first software in minutes, days, hours, months. We're not talking years, and that's how long it would have took before. It's funny watching new AI, no-code SaaS founders get frustrated because something took them 2 hours that would have took them 2 months before and cost them tens of thousands of dollars, and they get so frustrated because it took them 2 hours. Like, I get it. It's like TikTok attention span for SaaS. But the point is, you can build software as a service from scratch with no code. Don't listen to what these people say on Reddit. Like, there's a whole industry of coders that are fighting for their lives, that know that it's just a matter of time until they lose their jobs. So they've got to bash no-code tools like Replit. They've just got to, because the future is here, and they're not a part of it unless they embrace it and start using the AI tools. So you've got Replit, which is the beginner stack. You can build an app from start to finish, albeit with those caveats, those frustrating moments, from start to finish, including deploying it, everything, server hosting, everything all in one on Replit. And for a beginner, that's all you need, and it's amazing, right? Yes, you're gonna end up in some frustrating little loops and some frustrating little holes, but you can do it all natural language, no tech skills, no dev needed, from start to finish, and you can build a real business on Replit. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And for the price, it's amazing. Really, really good price. Having said that, you do pay usage fees, so it does cost you more the more you use the agent, but you just talk to the agent natural language and it builds it in front of you. You don't like something, you tell it to change it, it changes it. Magic, amazing, game-changing stuff, 2025 onwards, honestly. So that's Replit, beginner stack. Now, if you want to get intermediate, if you like, still no code, still AI, but intermediate, then you can plug Claude Code into Replit and you use it via the shell prompt. Now, for total beginners, total non-techies that get frustrated when anything technical comes up and they can't figure it out, you're not going to want to do this. But in our experience, mine and my clients that are using Claude Code plugged into Replit, what happens is you drop your development costs down by probably 90%. So it's 90% cheaper because you're not paying Replit's agent to build the app. You're paying a Claude Code subscription, which can be as little as about $20 a month. Most of my students are on the 75, I don't know if it's £75 or $75, but most of them are paying about 75 a month, which is pennies, because if you're using Replit all day, every day, you could easily rack up $75 worth of charges in a week if you're using it like intensively. So $75 a month versus $75 a week. And if you're just using it sparingly, like you're dipping in and out in between your other jobs or businesses or whatever, then the $20 a month-ish, I can't remember if it's £20, $20, $25, I can't remember, but it's about $20. That subscription level of Claude Code will probably do you fine. So you plug Claude Code into Replit, so you've got your $20, $25 a month or whatever it is for Replit, you've got your $20, $25 a month for Claude. So for less than $50 a month, you can build full stack, start to finish, AI-based SaaS tools. So you can build full SaaS businesses, sales letter, hooked up to Stripe, free trials, admin panel, front end, back end, databases, security tested, server hosted for less than $50 a month, which is absolutely bonkers. So that's the one benefit. You can drop your costs massively by using Claude Code integrated into Replit. I don't know how long it's going to last, but it works right now, and it's been working for quite a while. And it is epic. There's a few clunky nuances with Claude Code that you have to get around. You have to press 1 or 2 a lot, and unless you teach Claude Code to do it, it won't always do the checkpoints or the auto backups. You can get it to. One of my students has got theirs auto backing up via Claude Code. But out of the box, you might have to be a little bit more manual on the checkpoints. But essentially, you can watch a video. It's about a 2-minute video on my channel of how to plug Claude Code into Replit, and you use it via the shell prompt. Again, this is intermediate stuff. You lose some of the ease of use. You lose some of the finesse of Replit. It stops being quite as beginner friendly. So for most people that are non-techie, out of the box, I just recommend sticking with Replit. If you're a non-tech founder, non-AI founder, non-code founder, stick with Replit straight out of the box and you won't go too far wrong. If you have that technical edge about you, you don't mind a little bit of loss of ease of use for a lot cheaper, and here's the other good thing about Claude Code is what we're finding, even though Replit is powered by Claude Sonnet or Claude Opus, Claude Code, essentially the same thing, is getting closer to 95% correct on the first try. So you know how I said beginners are getting 60% of the way there, sometimes 70%, maybe even 80%, but 60%-ish of the way there on the first prompt. And then the second and third prompt usually gets it 99% of the way there. With Claude Code, you get more like 90, 95%, sometimes 99% of the way there on the first prompt. I don't know why. You just are. A bunch of my mentees, students, clients are very much conspiracy theorists, like myself in the wider world. But I don't subscribe to this conspiracy theory. But they think that Replit on purpose leads you down the wrong path. So then you've got to pay to fix it, to rack up those usage costs. I don't think it's in their best interest to do that, and I don't subscribe to that conspiracy. But on different occasions with one-to-one clients, they've come up with the same theory. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being soft. Maybe they're right. But I don't think it is that. But with Claude Code, it's not like that. You don't pay for usage fees. So, and it does get it right more of the time. So I don't know. You tell me. But yeah, so a little bit harder to use, a little bit more of a techie edge. You do give up some ease of use and finesse from the integration of everything together when you're using Claude Code and Replit, but it drops your costs massively and typically outputs better results out of the box. So that's your trade-off. Do you want it super easy? A little bit more expensive, all-in-one tool, dead simple, beginner-focused, Replit on its own, amazing. If you want to step up to that intermediate, you're using more command line interface type shell thing. If you want that, Claude Code plugged into Replit, but still get a lot of the power of Replit, a lot of the flexibility, a lot of the ease of use of Replit, just with that rougher edge that gets arguably better results for less price, that intermediate Claude Code Replit. So what's the last one? So the last one I'm going to talk about, I wouldn't recommend for most people. None of my students are actively doing this. I have got people I work with actively doing this. So if you're a dev, if you've got a coding background, if you're a technical founder, so if you're more a coder and you are used to dealing with server configurations and dealing with syntax and crazy coding terms, then you'll find this actually gives you superhuman powers, what I'm going to talk about next. And that is essentially using Cursor with Claude Code, or you can plug Gemini or Grok or ChatGPT into it, whatever. But what's getting really good results right now is Cursor plugged in, or Claude Code plugged into Cursor, and then you could either and then GitHub, and then you can pull that into Replit. But can you see how I'm getting more complicated? So I would say this was more advanced. Why is it advanced? Look, for a techie type, for a dev, you'll almost see this as not advanced. It's very, very basic, very simple, everyday stuff. For a techie type, because you're used to speaking computer language, you're used to coding in Python, and you're used to dealing with server configurations, and you're used to dealing with maybe frameworks like Django or whatever. You're used to that techie stuff, so actually this stuff will be really easy to you. But what it gives you is superhuman powers. You're able to use Cursor and Claude Code and do probably 100 times what you could do just hand coding. If you're still hand coding in 2025 and you're not using any of these tools, it's because you don't know they exist, or you're skeptical in some way, or you're just too slow and you're struggling to keep up with the times. If you're a dev, you need to be using something like Cursor, I would say Cursor, with Claude Code and GitHub, and then maybe you want to throw in Replit in there if you want to and get some weird kind of hillbilly cousin made love to the cousin tech stack going on. But honestly, Cursor, Claude Code, GitHub, and then you're going to have to play around with things like to do your hosting and stuff. Some people use Vercel, some people there's a few clunks and quirks you're going to have to do if you're doing it that way. You're going to have to probably get an external database, an external auth. Like you're going to be using something like Superbase, Firebase. You're going to use some tech stack that's beyond, honestly, it's beyond me. I'm not interested in taking that many steps. I'm a Replit and Claude Code guy. I'm that intermediate guy by choice. Replit if I'm feeling like, yeah, let's just keep this simple. I'm definitely not going into the Cursor, Claude Code world. I'm not interested. I don't think there's need to do it now. I think these kind of all-in-one or these kind of user-friendly, beginner-friendly, no-code tools like Lovable, Bolt, Replit, I think they're the future. I do. I think they're the future. But if you've got a techie edge, then you need to be going the Cursor route and all that stuff. Explore that world, because if you just get over the initial hurdle of the learning curve, you're gonna 100x your results like a magician, like you're a senior coder times 100. Honestly, like, do not be hand coding in 2025. You're gonna have to make the transition. If you don't, you'll be transitioned out of the space. If you can essentially beef up your powers with superhuman skills by using these LLMs with stuff like Cursor, honestly, game changing. So that's it. Easiest, little bit more expensive, all-in-one tool, but super beginner friendly. You don't need to know any dev stuff. You don't need to have any technical skills. Replit on its own, perfect, amazing. You'll be able to muddle your way through that and get something good up and running. Intermediate, you're looking at Claude Code plugged into Replit. Advanced, or a dev type, techie type, coder type, then you want to be using Claude Code plugged into Cursor, and then mess around with that back end, make it a little bit clunky, quirky, explore what works for you. All of the above makes creating software as a service businesses 100 times to 1,000 times faster, cheaper, and easier than they ever were before. And now you can do it in 2025, whereas you couldn't do it before. Game-changing stuff. If you're interested in going on a journey and building your own software as a service from scratch, I actually have a group coaching program or a one-to-one coaching program. And possibly, when you watch this, there may even be some slots available. There's a video down below. You watch the video. If it's interesting, you book a call. We chat. If I think we're a good fit and you're interested, then you may, well, come on this journey with me, and I guide you, handheld you through it, show you how to build it, come up with the idea with you, put a sales process in place that converts, and do the launch and everything. The whole shebang from start to finish, no matter where you are right now. Whether you're a techie type or you're a non-techie type, doesn't matter. I can help you on that journey if you're interested. Book a call down below. Let me know what you thought to this video. If you've got any questions for me, by all means, put them in the comments down below. Yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.